popular children's game. Simon says, clap your hands. Simon says, stomp your feet. Touch your nose. Simon didn't say. The nervous system is essentially the Simon for the body. If the nervous system doesn't say to do it, then the body doesn't do it. If the nervous system does say to do it, then the body does do it. The nervous system controls basically everything that your body does. It controls sensation, movement, your heartbeat. It is literally responsible for every breath you take. We're going to learn how the nervous system works and how it is similar to more than one popular children's game. I've been studying the nervous system as my college career has begun to become a doctor. I would like to be a neurologist one day, so I've done some research extensively outside of the classroom as well as for classroom projects. To begin to explain this to you, let's start on the cellular level, the smallest level of the nervous system. The nervous system is comprised of two types of cells, neurons and support cells, which support the neurons. Let me show you a diagram. The most popular and important neurons that are supportive, or that are not neurons, the most popular supportive cells, according to J. Stein Carter of Claremont College, are called Schwann cells. And Schwann cells make up the coding along the actual neuron axon. The neuron is comprised of the cell body, the dendrites, the nucleus, which as in every cell controls what the cell does, the axon, which is where the message is sent from one end of the nerve to the other end of the nerve, and then the axon terminal is where the message is relayed over to the next neuron. To explain how this works, now that we understand what a neuron is, let's talk about how a neuron works. A neuron is made up, or the basic function of the nervous system involves three types of nerves: motor neurons, sensory neurons, and interneurons. The motor neurons send messages from the brain to the muscles and glands they control. The sensory neurons send messages to the brain from the sensory organs like the skin and other things. Okay, so how these work is a nerve impulse is carried from one to the other. It's similar to the game of telephone that maybe elementary school children play, where one person tells a message to the next person to the next person. However, the nervous system is more efficient than these children, as it gets the message correct every time. The axon that we were just talking about ends in a terminal button. The terminal button releases chemicals into the synapse to the next receptor. According to Mosby's Dictionary of Medicine, Nursing, and Health, a vesicle within a synaptic knob can hold up to 10,000 neurotransmitters, which is not a little bit. Is that all these vesicles, there's multiple vesicles that are released, and then there's multiple neurotransmitters that are released. And they go across the synapse and meet in the receptor. Now, it's interesting how these work in particular because they're like another popular children's game. This is a shape sorter. Most toddlers know what it is. It involves fitting the shape into the receiving shape, the cutout for it. And how neurotransmitters work is that the neurotransmitter is a specific shape like this triangle, and it only fits in to its particular triangularly shaped receiver. The way that drugs work is that they imitate the shape of these neurotransmitters. So if an endorphin is a triangle, then your chemicals that would be made to simulate the endorphin would be like a morphine, or some kind of opiate would also be that triangle shape, and it would fit into the neurotransmitter and simulate what the body does. So, moving on from that, we'll talk about the different structures of the nervous system. The branches of the nervous system can be broken down into two categories according to J. Steinklater of Claremont College. It can be identified in terms of function and in terms of location. To show you how this works, I'll use another visual aid. The central nervous system is comprised of the brain and the spinal cord only. All the rest of the nervous system receives, it's called the peripheral nervous system, and it is the extensive parts of the fingers, the hands, everything other than the brain and the spinal cord. From there, you have the nervous system is broken down into the autonomic and the somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system controls your movements, as like when we played Simon Says. The autonomic nervous system is broken down still further, and it actually emulates the game of tug of war. The parasympathetic nerves, as called by the biological science textbook by Pearson Prentice Hall, is called the rest and digest system. The sympathetic nerves, called by the same textbook, are called the fight or flight nervous system. And how they work is the parasympathetic nervous system will constrict, so that you don't see as well. The sympathetic nervous system will dilate the pupil so that you do see more. And they push and pull that way. The heartbeat will increase through the sympathetic nervous system. It will slow down through the parasympathetic nervous system, and so on. So now you can see the broad-reaching impact of the nervous system has on the body. To recap, the nervous system is the Simon of the body. Neurons send their messages from one to the other is similar to a game of telephone. The chemicals that react are similar to the childhood toddler game of shape sorter. And then the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems act as a game of tug of war. In conclusion, in the future, when you think of the workings of the nervous system, I will hope that you will think back to the lecture today, including Simon Says, tug of war, toddler toys, and the game of telephone, and realize that it's just child's play.